Hello, Pressure Point fans, and welcome to episode 107. Finals are around the corner. Another big week of footy, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Marky Mark. Marcus, how are we?
Corny boy.
What's going on?
Mate. A bit flat. To be honest.
Yeah.
It's been a interesting 48 hours, to say the least.
Absolutely, and I guess this time of year, I mean, wins, losses, the speculation between who makes finals, who doesn't, who finishes where, and it's a stressful and nerve-wracking final few weeks of the season. But I guess on the other hand, you've got to probably appreciate if your club is in that conversation to begin with, because you'd rather be in that conversation than be with North, Essendon, West Coast. Yeah.
I'm stressed. I'm
can
so
tell.
stressed.
You look like you've aged about 6 years since Saturday night.
Oh, we've gone from 3 weeks ago where we were certainties to play finals to now we've had a horrendous loss to Adelaide, and we've got the hardest 3 games any team could possibly have over the last 3 rounds. So it's, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, who could predict anything? A lot of things that have happened this season. So who are you to predict that that's exactly the way things are going to go in the last 3 rounds? So
No, exactly.
It's going to be interesting.
You see a lot of ladder predictors and things like that. You don't know.
No.
Nobody knows. Who knows? Any team can win on any day, essentially. We've seen that this year. So it's going to be an interesting final.
There were a lot of finals implications, though, over the weekend. So a lot of things were moving and the ladder taking shape. So we're set up for a massive 3 games.
Absolutely, with a lot of teams teetering around that 8th spot. And I mean, we've said it before. Does it look like anyone really wants to finish 8th? I mean,
it's happening again, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the Tigers put a good foot forward on the weekend, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then obviously Melbourne just sort of solidifying themselves as one of the best teams in the comp with their massive win after starting off slow.
Well, every team that had to win won, except for Carlton. Pretty much.
Well, yeah.
Well,
You
think
said
about
it, not me, but-
around the 8. Richmond won, Saints won, Doggies won.
No, Doggies didn't win.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the week before. Yeah, so start again. Saints won, Tigers won, D's won. They had to win that to make sure that they finished in the 4. Geelong looked like they've probably sewn up their top spot. We're missing some. Collingwood probably going to be in the top 4. So
Unbelievable.
everyone that really had to win won. And
It's really you and Bulldogs. And Bulldogs probably
playing
weren't
Geelong.
Yeah, and they probably weren't expected
Different.
to win down there at GMHBA either. Good start to the game, though. I thought they were going to roll away with
They
it
just started
early
well.
on.
Yep.
So, I mean, Geelong just showed they're probably a little bit too strong down there, especially. But, yeah, you're right. I think it was really the shock loss of the round probably was the Carlton one.
Well, should we start there? No, let's just get this off my chest.
I can see you've been venting now. So we'll start by saying that we did watch the game together, and I didn't really want to speak. Like, I was too scared to say anything because I thought, I'm going to get shut down by anything I say at this
You were
point.
sleeping at one stage.
Oh, well, I mean,
Turned around and you were
do you blame me?
dozing off.
Do you blame me? Well, it wasn't much to keep my eyes open for, that's for sure. But anyway, I want you to talk about it because you've been, I've seen you a couple of times since the game already and you haven't been happy.
It just brought back memories of how we used to be before this season. It was exactly the same feeling of just disgust. It was just deplorable the way they went about it. It was just with so much on the line with, all we have to do is just win that game. We're guaranteed a final spot. And to dish up that against an Adelaide side who'd been pretty average, yet they're probably a little bit better at home. But still, the way they completely dismantled us. I was saying before, I think, we had the most amount of clangers or turnovers in one game for any team this season. The most broken tackles as well. Got smashed at the contested ball, tackling, all that sort of stuff. So pretty much got beaten at our own game. So, and Paddy Cripps completely dominated, put us all, it was a real captain's performance where it reminded me of 2019 when we were a basket case and Cripps was dominating. So
I think the only problem with that though is it was the classic, like you said, 2019 performance where Cripps put everyone on his back. Like he was driving the train, but no one wanted to board the train.
That's what. Yeah, I mean that's why it was such a familiar feeling. We're like, oh no, it just brought back memories of such dark times for us. So it was it just at the stage of the season with the 3 games that we've got left, it's just set us up in such a stressful position now. And these next 3 weeks are going to be torture. Honestly, we would guarantee, like, we were dreaming of, going deep in the finals. Like, we had everything there. We'd been playing some great footy all year, and then, it's just so disappointing. But let's just hope that that's just a blip. But we're going to have to pull something out of our ass over these next 3 weeks.
Well, it is funny how big a difference a week or even 2 weeks in footy can be. I mean, we could be sitting here this time next week. Carlton have rolled over Brisbane at the Gabba, and you're talking about how you guys are how you guys are premiership favourites again. You know what I mean? Like, we spoke about it before we recorded, but how many weeks ago was it? And you said the Geelong Carlton game was the grand final preview, and now you're talking about not playing, not making the 8.
It was tongue in cheek.
I know it was tongue in cheek, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You're all up and about, and then it was like you have a bad loss, and I mean, and it's like that for every football fan, not just you and Carlton supporters. Obviously, I mean, we'll talk about me a little bit later, but a couple of weeks I was pretty doom and gloom, and after last night's game, I'm very up and about today, and it's just funny how big a difference a week in football can make.
Yeah, I just think Carlton support. We're all just like we're just scared of not making the finals after dreaming of it all year and almost being a shoe-in for it and playing some great footy. It's been the most enjoyable footy season. I know I can definitely say that as a Carlton supporter we've had for years, and probably the most enjoyable season for a lot of Carlton supporters in general. So, and if we end up missing finals from here, it would be all for nothing. Like, what a waste of a season. So, it's super disappointing, but hopefully this is the big kick up the arse they need just before the finals, and we go in and win our last 3 games and beat Brisbane, Melbourne and Collingwood and charge into a home final. So that would be the dream, but who knows?
Well, they do say that a lot of teams do have one of those games where they do have that kick up the arse, and then it's from then that they sort of just zone in and don't really lose a game going forward. So, for the Blues fans, you'd be obviously hoping that is the case. And I think it is a blip. That performance, like you said, you haven't seen that from Carlton all season. I don't think that's a representation of true Carlton brand. You've obviously got a tough few games coming up, and if you lose any of those on a good day, it's sort of, you can sort of understand it. But I guess now in the position you're in, you can't really afford to. But I don't see you losing the next 3 straight. I reckon Blues will win at least one of those and guarantee it. Like you said, you only need one more game to guarantee a final spot. And I reckon you'll find it in there somewhere. It just, on paper, it does look pretty tricky.
Yeah, and we need the teams below us, like the Dogs and the Tigers, to just chill out and not win any more games. Because I think if you drop another game or 2, you're probably done. And then the Dogs the same. And then it just takes us winning 1 game to almost lock that in. Yeah. And then the Saints, you can probably say they're not going to win. They'd be lucky to win 1 of their last 3. They've got a really tough draw as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very stressful, but exciting at the same time.
We might have to do this on Zoom for the next few weeks, because I was talking about it with some family the other day, or even today, at work, and I was saying, I don't know how it's going to be. I mean, this is a massive it's not going to happen, but imagine what the tension would be like between us if Richmond were to win their next 3 and you guys were to lose your next 3 and we slot in the finals and you guys do not. Well, I'm getting the bird from our marketing manager behind us. But imagine if that was like, I don't think we could do this face to face, especially because, like you said, you guys have been a shoey all year for finals, and we lost to North 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen. I'll put that out there. I was just thinking about it today. Imagine if that happened. I don't know if I could.
Why couldn't it happen? Absolutely, it could happen.
Obviously,
you've got
technically
Port, Hawthorn
it could.
And Essendon.
I don't see us beating Port in Adelaide. I know that they don't really have anything to play for anymore now that finals is. I think we did determine that it was mathematically not possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have anything to play for, which could work into our favour. I don't know. I know Port Adelaide really don't like Richmond though, and it's at their home deck. To me, I don't see us beating them, and then we can win our last 2 for sure. If we play our best footy, but I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's scary thinking about it.
It's nuts. It's a crazy time of the year. And I don't think we've had such a wild race to the finals like this as well, where so much matters over these last few rounds.
Well, even, obviously we'll talk about it when we get into a few more of the reviews, but even like Brisbane, they really needed to win to lock in not lock in, but almost certainty a top 4 spot. Yep. And now they're sitting 5th and might not get the double chance, which, I mean, Brisbane have been up and about for the last how many years now? 3 or 4, almost the same amount of time like sort of Richmond were up there, but they just haven't been able to capitalise yet. They obviously had the grand final at the G that year, at the Gabba, that year in 2020, and they didn't quite get there. And they've had so many chances, and it'd be a shame for Brisbane supporters to see another one slip through the fingers. But I guess speaking of those higher end teams, we may as well touch on them now because they had a dominating performance on the weekend away from home, Melbourne. They're safely back to their best.
I think so. I think they're back. I mean, we say that every second week, and then they go on and lose. But I think the way their footy, their brand looked like it was back on last Friday night.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's no easy task going over to WA and beating Fremantle and then beating them in the fashion that they did, 46 points, and it never really looked like going Freo's way. It was a statement. It was a big statement game, and I don't think they'll get top spot now because Geelong are just playing too well, but they've given themselves a really, really good momentum boost heading into the back end. Yeah,
absolutely. And it sets up a massive game against the team that we're about to talk about next as well, Collingwood. Friday night at the MCG is going to be massive.
I kind of want to go to this
second
one, to be
v third. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might try and get down to this game. This is going to be, unbelievable.
Big crowd.
Massive crowd. Melbourne supporters won't forget what happened on Queen's birthday. Collingwood supporters looking for 11 in a row, which I didn't think I'd ever say that. Yeah, I can't believe that. And another one actually on that, I joined last night the Attention to Detail boys, good friends of the show, and we're talking about how there's been 3 teams this year that have had 10-game winning streaks at certain stages. Do you think that's ever happened before? 3 different teams have gone on 10-game winning streaks.
Who's the third?
I think Geelong, isn't it? Geelong won 10 straight?
Yeah. No, but you said three teams?
Melbourne.
Oh, of course. Yeah, at the start of the year.
Yeah, 10 and zip. Melbourne went. Collingwood would have won 10 in a row now.
I think Geelong are 9. I think Geelong are 9.
Geelong 9? Oh,
I think.
But there's a good chance to do it.
Yeah.
So if they do, that's huge. That's going to be history, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That's You don't see that ever. We don't have that sort of dominant. I think the competition is too even for that to be happening at the moment. So
it's funny though because we say that like how even the competition is, and I still think it is that. But then to have these 10-game winning streaks, but then you look at Collingwood, right? They've won 10 in a row, but how many of those have been by less than a kick?
Yeah,
which could have gone either way. Which I guess still shows that the competition is quite even. If you lose Collingwood by 2 points, they're not necessarily much better than you.
Yeah,
they've just scraped over. You've also got to argue the point that they're better at winning close games because they keep doing it. It can't be luck at this point, but So anyway, I think it'll be a massive, massive game this Friday night, Melbourne Collingwood. But Melbourne are absolutely on a hot streak.
Yeah, but with the Pies, you got to factor in their opposition of late. Like I try not to downplay what they're doing because obviously it's great, but they still this is where we're really going to see the real Collingwood over the next 3 weeks. They've got Melbourne this weekend, Sydney, and then Carlton to finish. That's the real test for them because they've had a pretty soft draw the last few weeks, the Pies.
Yeah.
They poured at the MCG. They played North the other week.
Adelaide.
Wow. They played Essendon last week.
Yeah.
Adelaide are a great team, as we know.
I was going to say I was waiting for something like that. You're right. I mean,
they've had a pretty soft 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, we do always say you can only beat who's in front of you, but I guess it's also the fashion that they're doing it. They're not comprehensively beating these bottom end teams.
They're just scraping over the line against these teams.
Exactly. So it does raise the question: how good are they?
But we're going to find out over the next 3 weeks.
Well, absolutely. I mean, they could come. Just say they lose to Melbourne this Friday.
Yeah.
But they lose by 15 points. They're still a good side. You know what I mean? Like if they lose by 15 points, no, there's no cracks. You don't think in Collingwood's system they're great. But if they come out there and they get belted by 60, then you go, wow, maybe it was a soft draw.
What if they win?
If they win, God help us all.
If they beat Melbourne, I think they could win I think they can win the premiership. If not, that could be my tip for the flag if they beat Melbourne this weekend.
If they beat Melbourne this weekend, I'd be putting money on Pies to win the flag because they wouldn't be heavy favourites at all. Like it'd be good odds, but there'd be every chance to do it. And God help us all if they do. I remember what 2010 was like, and I mean it's one of those ones. Collingwood's like that club that if you don't support them, you hate them, and I get that they love it. They feed off it, which you can understand exactly why. They've been a pretty successful team throughout their history. So yeah, if they win this weekend, oh boy, it'll be scary last few weeks. Well, I mean more so for you as well because you're playing Collingwood in the last round of the year, and could have finals implications like we've spoken about. So I'm glad we don't have to face them.
Yeah, I don't. That game scares me. Scares me, especially if things are still on the line at the time. Oh, you don't want to rely on a game against Collingwood to do it, because if it goes the other way, oh boy.
Well, we have seen things on social media saying that potentially the last game of the year between Collingwood and Carlton could have Collingwood playing for a top 4 spot and Carlton playing for a top 8 spot. Oh boy, would that be big! I mean, I know for you, you don't want that, but for a neutral supporter, there'd be, I reckon, 90,000 plus at the G.
In saying that, we all Carlton members got an email today saying to upgrade, you have to upgrade to a reserve seat for that game.
Unfortunately, I got that email.
You would have got that email.
Unfortunately, I got that email pop through, so I did see that. Yes, I will not be upgrading.
but they're saying that 2-3 weeks in advance. It just shows 3 weeks in advance from yesterday. So that just shows the level of interest in that game already.
Oh, 100%. And I don't know it's probably not as big a game in terms of implications, but the last round of the year has also got all the big 4 clubs playing each other.
Yeah.
So Richmond Essendon also play in the last round, and Richmond is more than likely going to be playing for a final spot in that last round. And Essendon have been showing some good things. So that could be an interesting game as well. I don't want to talk about it. I'm getting nervous thinking about it. So we'll move on.
We're getting too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, let's move on. We've spoken about the Blues.
Well, let's talk about your Tigers.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. Let's get right into it. Let me tell you, I've probably said on the podcast a few times, I've said it to you, I've got a real strong belief in not leaving the game early. And I've said that a lot of times. And let me tell you, during the second quarter, and I've looked up at the sky, pitch black, AFL members, you either get the sun or usually the rain hits that side of the ground pretty predominantly. And I'm looking at my sister, I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I'm like, I don't know, do I do the unthinkable and leave this one early? And then I checked the weather radar. The rain wasn't coming. I thought, nah, I'm staying. And boy, oh boy, did I make the right decision to stay for that game. I couldn't believe.
Imagine you left.
42 points down at one point. And I know we've blown a 42-point lead, so I know what it's like being on the other end of that. But to come back from that against a side like Brisbane as well, who, like we said, were playing for top 4 spot, so much on the line for them, I was over the moon. And for Noah Cumberland, copped a lot last week for playing on this just after the siren. He played on and arguably lost us the game. And then to kick 5, for a guy that's played 4 games, I think it might be, against a team like Brisbane was unbelievable.
Yeah. And then almost cost you the game again.
Yeah, I know that contentious.
Should have been a 50-metre penalty to Darcy Gardner at the end.
Yeah. I know you pointed out promptly that if it was the other way around, I'd probably be up in arms about it.
You would be.
Yeah, well,
there'd be screenshots on the Richmond fan channels.
Absolutely, there would be. But the one for me with that one was on a technicality, the umpire didn't say stand, and we've seen, like, if you watch games of footy pretty closely, they do say quite often you see a player creep forward another step or two before the umpire says stand. Now, I don't know if he actually has to say stand before it can be called 50. I'm not entirely sure, but we probably did get away with one there. But I was watching the last half replay, as you could imagine. I probably have a few times, and I did notice that just before that, there was one where Brisbane guy was clearly moving around on the mark, and we didn't get the 50 either. So, I don't want to get umpires involved in this one. At the end of the day, as a Brisbane supporter or as a club, from 42 points up, you shouldn't lose that no matter what sort of decisions get paid. So I'm just... Yeah, like you said, he nearly cost it for us again, but absolutely it worked out. He got a hand on the ball, turned over, Tom Lynch, goal, bang.
Yeah, that was it.
Tigers win. Yeah.
Huge from the Tigers, absolutely huge. Watching that game up until half-time, I thought, geez, you're getting absolutely smashed here. Brisbane looked like they were going to run away with a 70 or 80-point win. Your season looked done.
That would have been it.
Finals were done. Brisbane were going to break their MCG hoodoo. And then
I thought if any team to do it against, it was always going to be us. But
then after half time, you just flicked a switch and went bang, like you just turned into old Richmond.
Yeah, the pressure was back. There was a few things. I can't put it down to one thing in particular, but yeah, it was awesome to watch from a Richmond point of view. I'm sure the rest of the AFL doesn't agree because, if we can continue that second half form in the last few games, I think we'll be pretty good. But it's going to be challenging next few weeks.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Nah, I'm absolutely
No, good on you. Well done.
I'm ecstatic at the moment. And let me tell you, Maurice Rioli, oh boy, he does certain things to me. I love when he comes on as a medical sub and he always provides some sort of spark late in the game. I could watch that kid all day.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So
Very exciting.
as you can tell, I'm very excited about this game at the moment. I bet we better keep going before I get carried away. Oh, but actually I do want to mention just quickly as well, shout out to Shane Edwards on his 300th game. Absolute club legend. He's been around for years, and people forget he played alongside Richo. Like that's how long Shane Edwards has been around, and went underrated for the majority of his career, probably until we actually became a successful club, and then people started to notice him a bit more All Australian, some of the silkiest hands in the game, and absolutely stoked for him to play his 300th.
Do you know why his nicknames are what they are? What they mean?
Well, I know there's Shedder and Titch.
Yeah.
And I can tell you honestly, I have no idea.
No, well, I know what they are, but do you know why?
Yeah, no, I've got no idea why they're Shedder or Titch. I should probably do some research into that one.
They're good nicknames. I like. They're fun.
When he was a bit younger, I used to run with the calling him Titch, and then as we've got a bit older, I've more migrated to Shedder. Well, Shedder's his Instagram name, so I've migrated to Shedder now.
Yeah, love it. Dave Mundy announced his retirement today. That was pretty sad, but
this one
almost
sort of rocked me.
It's like about time because he's like 37, 38.
It's about 37. It is
not about time in like a negative way, but like it's like, well, geez, it's about time.
How's he still going? Yeah. It was one of those ones where you almost just thought David Mundy was going to play forever, wasn't it? I mean, he's not a player that anybody can really have any hard feelings against or towards, I should say. So it's one of those ones where you just wanted to see him keep playing. Partly because of the novelty of him still going somehow, and also just because he's just such a respected player on the field. So it was pretty sad to see him do that. He finally got the opportunity to wear all 32 of Fremantle's jersey designs that they've worn over the years.
What do you think of that, by the way?
The new design?
Yeah.
The new design, the retro design. Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it.
I think their retro one they wore last year was still my favourite.
Better.
I think
this
that one was
should almost
better.
be like their Clash one or something.
But I do like the 3D anchor. I think it's cool. I like that 90s sort of. I don't mind the retro jumpers that some of the clubs are rolling out with. The Bulldogs one was super nice as well.
Yeah.
So I like that. But I just thought it was crazy that Mundy's played in all 32.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I know some of them were brought back as retro designs, obviously, like this one was. But still, I mean, how many players can say they've worn every one of their club's jumper designs? I think he'd probably be the only one. So,
well, he debuted in 2003. What were you doing in 2003?
You won?
You won.
Grade 1? I think I was in grade 1, 2003.
Just put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Thinking about it that way. Now I'm 6. What are you in? I'm 8 years out of high school now.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't, and thinking about it like that,
He's been playing AFL football for that long.
Yeah, that's absolutely bananas. So there we go. I think it's his 19 years now. Yeah. I think it was. This is 19th season. Yeah. So long time. Absolutely crazy. So good on him. David Mundy is going to go down as Fremantle champion, AFL champion.
Well, one of the greats, really.
Oh, absolutely.
All-timers. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I loved what he finished. Did you see what he finished off with? What he said he wanted from the rest of the year?
Humble battler.
Oh, he said he wants to be known as a humble battler, but he also, like he said, what do you want from Fremantle? And for like the last few, and he goes, I want to win the next 6 games.
6 games.
I like that. Like it was subtle, but it was a good, clear message of what they're after. And
that would be nice.
Like obviously you want your own team to win it, but I would actually love to see Fremantle win a flag. 1, because there's no one to give me shit about it because no one goes for Fremantle here in Melbourne. And 2, just because, they've never won one. Blokes like Mundy, I mean, I'd love to see Fife for the premiership under his belt just to solidify his legacy a little bit more. Great sides. I'd love to see that, but I don't know if I see it happening. Yeah.
They look like they're falling off a bit of a cliff at the moment as well, the Dockers. So, which we haven't touched on it too much, but I think they're losing form at the wrong time of the year as well. So
appears to be, yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the round 21 games this week. We touched on it before with Melbourne and Collingwood on a Friday night, an absolute blockbuster, probably the game of the season, you'd say, so far, in terms of the build-up's going to be massive all week.
I think the build-up, the implications, like we said, is Collingwood going to break their winning streak or Melbourne going to break Collingwood's winning streak?
Well, I think we're going to know after this round who... I feel like if Collingwood knocked Melbourne off, we know Collingwood are going to be up there for the premiership. Melbourne beat Collingwood. It's going to finally they've broken that streak.
Yeah, like they've almost been found out. In a way.
And then it's like, okay, also, maybe Collingwood aren't up to it because they can't match it against the top teams.
But also, and then like we said, it depends on how they lose it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if they lose by 3 points, that's, you know what I mean. Like we said before, that you're not going to take any, have anything against Collingwood for that. So it just. Yeah.
Well, what's your tip then?
I think Melbourne. I mean, only purely because of the form I saw Melbourne in last week, and Collingwood have been just scraping over the line week in, week out. So I think that's the only reason I'm going Melbourne. And when they're at their best, I don't think many teams beat Melbourne. So I think, for me, Melbourne win this one.
Yeah, I'm going D's as well. Saturday, we've got Hawthorn, Gold Coast. It's Tassie.
The University of Tasmania Stadium.
Is that Launceston? Yeah, Launceston. Bit of a nothing game. I mean, Gold Coast is still a mathematical chance to play finals, so they just need to keep winning and hope other results go their way. But Hawthorn down in Tassie are pretty good, I think.
They're a pretty tough team to beat down there. So, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a nothing game, but I think this could also be one of the games of the round, like a bit of an underdog for game of the round, because I feel like this could be a tight contest. I think Hawthorn being in Tassie, I think probably suits them a little bit as well. And like you said, Gold Coast technically a chance, but they're probably pretty realistic. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think Hawthorn.
Yeah, I think Hawks as well. GWS and Essendon at Giants Stadium. Yeah, again, a nothing game.
This is
Did you see
nothing
what
game.
Mark McVeigh said about his Giants players on the weekend?
I did not.
Yeah, he's accused a lot of them of checking out.
Really?
Yeah. He named 8 players that he thought played for the jumper, gave it their all, and then said the rest there's some that have checked out. That's pretty strong.
So if you're not in those 8 players he mentioned,
so I think
you'd be questioning.
Jacob Hopper, Tim Taranto, who are free agents or on the trade table. It's like they've already checked out because they know they're going to be playing somewhere else next year. And I mean, it shows because the Giants have been terrible.
Yeah, and it's weird too because they've got the same list. Like essentially, they haven't. Who have they lost?
I think it's just time to regenerate for them. I think.
Yeah, which like another one, a little bit like Brisbane. If Brisbane can't capitalise soon, a bit of a wasted opportunity. Like they multiple prelims, grand final they've played in the Giants and just haven't been able to capitalise. So, I mean, if you compare them to the Gold Coast, the other new club in the AFL, they've done pretty well. But I think wasted opportunity there. But like you said, this is a bit of a dead rubber game. I don't know. It's going to be, I think Giants maybe just because it's up there. But Essendon have
been in pretty good form.
Essendon have been in good form. I actually have no idea who will win this one. I'm going to go with the favourites here on Sportsbet and go Essendon actually.
I'm going to go Essendon as well. Doggies Freo at Marvel. This is a massive. This talk about implications. This has implications everywhere.
Jeez, I'd love for Freo to win this one. But at Marvel Stadium,
we both need Freo to win this.
Well, yeah, absolutely we do. We really need Freo to get up for this one. And Marvel Stadium, I mean, Freo played us there a couple of weeks ago. Didn't look that flash hot. I mean, they didn't look that flash hot at their own home deck. So
I think Doggies just have to win as well.
I think they know what's at stake, Freo.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd hope so anyway. You'd think that they'd sort of want to lift. I mean, are there still a chance for top 4 if they win their last 3?
I think they're still in with a shout, but
I mean, it's unlikely, obviously. Yeah, but I mean, they could probably, hopefully in the back of their heads, they're thinking we probably need the double chance at this rate.
They just need to find some form, Freo.
That's it as well. Absolutely, they do. So it's going to be.
It's a very hard game to pick.
I think Marvel Stadium factor though just suits the Dogs a little bit nicer. They work that ground so well. And like I said, if Fremantle couldn't even get over Richmond, who are notoriously pretty average at Marvel Stadium, I don't see how they're going to go to Marvel and beat a team like the Dogs, who are very, very good there. So, Doggies for me, as much as I'd love for Freo to win this one.
Well, I'm going Freo, but
not convincingly.
Not convincing. It's actually really hard. It's a flip of the coin. This game, it's very hard to tip. Saturday night, we've got Geelong St Kilda at GMHBA.
Speaking of games that we really want one team
Cats.
in particular to win, I've never supported Geelong so hard in my life. I really want. I mean, you don't see Saints beating Geelong down there anyway.
Not in the form that Geelong are in. So
no, they're flying at the moment. They're looking so dangerous, and we've touched on it. Their home and away form is unbelievable. They're probably looking more primed than I've seen in recent years for a final series. We know notoriously they have flunked out of finals. It's easy to say, but I don't see it happening this year.
Yeah,
I think if they lose, it'll be a bit of a shock. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, Geelong for me for this one fairly comfortably. You'd imagine.
Yeah, Cats for me as well. Saturday night, Port Adelaide Richmond at the Adelaide Oval.
Oh God,
as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, this is the one for me I'm tearing whatever hair I have left out of my head about, because I think this is almost a harder game than the one we had on on the weekend against Brisbane. Brisbane are higher in the ladder, probably a better side, but I think Port at Adelaide Oval are just a different beast.
Yeah.
We've had a pretty good run there in recent years, but I don't know if I trust our form this year enough to convince me that we'll get over the line here. And I'm hoping with the finals spot on the line, we do get up. Now Port are mathematically out of it, so I'm just going to give it to us. I'm just trying to show a bit of faith in my boys now after they gave me a little bit more to hold on to after the weekend. So I think maybe us just.
No, I'm going for Port just simply because we need Port to win. And
it's not who you want to win, it's who you think
I think
will
Port,
win.
I think they've been playing some good footy. They've just been incredibly unlucky. I mean, they lost to Collingwood by a goal, which every team has been doing this year.
Yeah.
And then they played one of the best games against Geelong the other week as well. Probably against any other team, they would have won that. So I think Port, just because it's at the Adelaide Oval as well. Sunday, we've got North Melbourne and Sydney at Marvel. I mean...
I joked about this before, glossing over North.
Man, I'd love to see North win this, to be honest. But, I mean, just from a necessity point of view, would love Sydney to drop a game.
Yeah, no, that would help for sure.
But
well, help you anyway, not us.
Happening.
No, Sydney aren't going to lose to North Melbourne. Doesn't matter where it's being played. So,
yep.
And Sydney, another one that have found the right form at the right time too. They're absolutely flying.
They've got a really good run home. So.
Absolutely, some of their young stars are just dominating the competition right now. So they'll fly through this one, the Swans.
Yep. Brisbane Carlton at the Gabba, massive game.
Yeah, again, implications. Carlton need to win one more to lock in finals. Brisbane can still push for a top 4 spot. They need to win. Home game, they're coming off a disappointing loss. I think the Gabba factor gives me Brisbane winning this one. I think it was in Melbourne. I'd go Carlton pretty comfortably, but I think being at the Gabba and after the loss I've just had, I think Brisbane.
Yep, I think Brisbane as well, but I mean...
It hurt to say that, didn't it?
We haven't lost 2 in a row all year. So we always rebound after a loss. I'd love for us to just come out and win this and just put it to bed and lock in that final spot and just put last week behind us. But I think Brisbane on the rebound, thanks to your mob, they're going to be hard to beat at the Gabba.
I do think, by the way, that last week was just a blip in the season for Carlton. I don't think it's anything. It's insinuating anything going forward. But yeah, I just think Brisbane are probably just at home a little bit too strong. It is a fortress up there at the Gabba, so tough game.
I think Lions as well, but geez. This will be a very different podcast next week if we get up.
Might stay home.
And the last game of the round, and pretty much where it should be in that time slot, West Coast and Adelaide.
West Coast always get this time slot, don't they? The last game on a Sunday.
But they deserve it this year because...
This year they do.
No one's watching this game.
I feel like they've always copped the late Sunday afternoon games most seasons. But no one's really tuning into this one. Another bit of a dead rubber one, I think.
Yep.
I reckon West Coast could get the job done here. Adelaide haven't been consistent enough for me. I've seen flashes from them all year.
They played like Geelong last week, so I think they could probably get up this week.
Or did you guys just play like North?
Yeah. Well, Darcy Fogarty turned into Dusty Martin.
Oh, mate, Ben Keys.
And Ben Keys, yeah.
Ben Keys was unreal as well. But no, I think, I don't know, Adelaide aren't consistent enough for me to see them winning 2 in a row, especially up at Optus. West Coast have found some form sometimes, so... Yeah, I think
West Coast can sneak one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think West Coast for me.
Yeah. They'd love to get one more win before the season finishes at home. I think this could be their last home game as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, mate. Well, that is round 21. Let's get into the segments. I'm doing Crimea River tonight, so
we're mixing it up. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It had to be done.
Had to be done. I had one. I'll let it be known. I had one. Yeah, I had one for today.
Well, we can do 2. Let's just do 2.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get cracking. I'll let you kick us off.
I will. Michael Voss.
I know what this is.
I dare you to drop Jack Silvani again. That's set the tone for the weekend, dropping one of our best players all season, the player that gives us the most heart and soul and represents the Carlton Footy Club like no one else can play in any position. to drop him, not on form, but just based on because we had too many tall players or whatever the reasoning was an absolute disgrace. And I love you, Vossi. Like, you've been unbelievable this season, but geez, you got that one wrong, and you put a lot of Carlton supporters offside Thursday night. I can tell you what, that was bad. You don't drop the favourite son and not a player that's been in form like Silvani has. He'd be up there in our best and fairest this season, and there was even talk about him being in the All-Australian squad as a half forward halfway through the season. So, Vossi, do that again, mate, and you will turn into the next David Teague.
I was going to say, I couldn't tell if it was Teague, Bolton or Vossi out there with the way Carlton supporters were carrying on, but I completely agree with you. I was flabbergasted when I saw that.
I think everyone was. People thought it was a typo.
Yeah, when I saw Silvani being dropped, honestly, I thought he might have a niggle. They're resting him. They just don't want to say that he's got a niggle because, I don't know, you don't want opposition teams knowing, your injuries and what's going on. But for Vossi to then come out and say, no, we've dropped him. And then he got named as the medical sub, which means if you had a niggle, you wouldn't put him as a medical sub.
Well, Vossi came out and said that he was dropped.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. He came out and admitted that, no, we've dropped him. I couldn't believe it. And I know if I was a Carlton supporter, I would be livid. And he came on and
it was great.
Early. He came on midway through the second quarter, I think.
Yep.
And he was fantastic, which he has been all year. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I like that for a Crimey River. Yeah. It's you don't do many of them, but when you do, you go bang.
I had to. Straight after the game on Saturday night, I was like, I have to do it this week.
You told me I'm taking the reins. Well, I was going to let you have more by yourself, but after the Sunday night's game, I now have a Crimey River as well to add to the list, and I'll get into that one. And it worked in our favour, but it's the way it went down that still upsets me. And we spoke about it just before as well. But for those that didn't see it, Brisbane have gone kicked a goal. The goal umpire wasn't entirely sure if it was a goal or behind. They couldn't tell if it was touched. They spent about a minute and a half doing a goal review. Fair enough. That's the system we have in place to make sure goals are accurately paid. Goes through. Sure enough, the ball was touched well over the line. Brisbane goal, no problem. I'm disappointed, but fair and square. Just as it gets paid a goal, the umpire then goes, well, it doesn't matter anyway because I'm paying a push in the back on the goal line. Why waste everybody's time watching a goal review? If that happened to us and it was us that got given the goal and I'd celebrated and clapped and cheered just to then get told, oh, no, by the way, it's a free kick. You're not getting that goal. I would be absolutely livid. Like I said, it worked in our favour because the free kick went to us. But
what a piss take.
Honestly, why do that? And I want the AFL to come out and either acknowledge that it was a mistake or say why they've done it. My first thoughts were maybe he didn't see the free kick, and then when watching the replay, the free kick was blatantly obvious and they had to pay it. But surely you can't use a replay to pay a free kick. I've never seen that done before either. So it's absolutely mind-boggled me, and I was pretty filthy with it at the time too because it just wastes time.
Yeah.
And then it gives the opposition time to set up. I've spoken about goal reviews before, but when they're completely unnecessary like this, where it didn't matter if it was a goal or a point because it wasn't going to get paid regardless.
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't believe it. I don't know if you saw that from home, but I remember at the game, everyone booed pretty loudly when that happened.
Yeah, would it be even more confusing at the game because you don't have the telecast or the commentary to hear anything or what's actually going on?
Well, no, exactly.
So I remember even worse at the game.
We saw on the big screen, you got the footy goes to the two big sticks, says goal. Brisbane fans got up, clapped, cheered. And then all of a sudden I see Noah Bolter holding the footy in the goal square. And I'm like, he just paid a goal, mate. Give it classic Noah Bolter, just completely having no idea what's going on. And I'm like, oh God, what's he gonna? He's gonna give away a free kick in the he's gonna do something stupid. He's give it back to the umpire. And I'm like, hang on a second, it's our free kick. What for? So because I couldn't see the push from where I was, but I think that is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen happen in a game of football.
Yeah, bizarre, absolutely bizarre, mind-boggling stuff that was, but. It's umpiring for you this year, isn't it?
It's been a bit like that. It'll be interesting to see how we go next year, if there's any changes or if it just continues on this same path. But anyway, that's it for Crimey Rivers.
That is it, and that is it for the episode this week. That was good. Felt I got a lot off our chest. Well, me in particular, and
I didn't get enough of. I've got more to give if you want it, but I'll refrain.
Yeah, you're absolutely up and about. I haven't seen you like this for a few weeks, so
I haven't had no reason to. Like I said, a week is a long time in football.
No, it's been good. But well, as I said, it's a business absolutely business end part of the season now, with finals just around the corner and 3 massive rounds to finish off the season. So enjoy round 21. It's going to be huge, and we'll chat next week.